All right, Patrick, just taking a stroll through Emilio Pagan's Baseball Reference splits page this morning because I am a masochist who likes to do things like this. His ERA against the Guardians this season is now 15.19, and the Guardians are hitting .350 off of him with a .700 slugging percentage this year.
I have a question for you, gentlemen. You're now a veteran media guy, Phil, and Judd certainly is. Why, after that, do you then tell the hustling reporters who are down there that you're throwing the ball better than you've ever thrown in your life, and it's just not working out? And then the manager's office, they say this, he says the same thing.
Stuff is great. He's just not executing.
Stuff is great. Where is the lack of awareness of, he said, okay, that was terrible, but then he had to tell us how good he was throwing the ball, and he's basically been throwing the ball good all year. Listen, his first 2-3 saves were 34, 28, and 28 pitches. He hasn't been good all year. He got a 3-2 pitch with the bases loaded. The up gave him strike 3 to get him out of his first save, and it's and he basically got Jay Stingler fired in San Diego because his horrible month last year in September when the Padres had melted down, and But to get back to this, everybody's mad that he brought him in the 10th. Who do we want?
There's no yes. Yeah. There's one guy. They have one guy. They used him for 2 innings.
Yes. Well, Jax, Jax, who I was ripping early. He's been fine, right? I mean, if you got him, you can use him. He's been fine. Duran's great, and Thielbar if the guy's left-handed, right? You got 2.5 pitchers in your bullpen. Obviously, they're not excited about Tyler Thornburg because they won't bring him out. I don't know why he's here. So, what are you going to do? You gotta give the guy a chance again. But I would think he's now their 5th inning guy, wouldn't you say? And they're going to just run out some other bodies.
They could use a guy like Taylor Rogers, I feel like.
Yes, right. Yeah.
When are they going to make some moves, though? That's the problem. Like, they're a competitive baseball team. They're in first place, and the bullpen's a mess, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to deduct the bullpen's a mess. You got to do something.
Yeah, well, they would, but I don't know who you trading right now that's going to bring you anything that's pretty good. Kepler, I keep saying Kepler, but now that Larney's hurt, all of it for 2 months, you're not exactly that excited about getting rid of Kepler. And, Kirilloff's here. If anybody will take Miranda and give you a 5th reliever or something, maybe I'd do something like that. But I don't know. I don't know where you make your trade now. I just don't know who you're going to give up.
You'd also this is the hard part. There's very few trade. I mean, there was a trade that happened like 2 days ago, but there's not very many trades this time of year because teams don't have to say it. If you're a bad team looking to sell off pieces, if you say yes now, you're probably not going to get as much as if there's 4 teams bidding against each other in 2 months from now.
That's right.
So those teams aren't trading.
The trade you're talking about is Santana, right? Santana got traded for. He's hitting 180, and they got a couple. You got a couple of warm bodies. Who took him?
Seattle,
yeah.
Seattle still thinks they got a chance, I guess. But I fully expected Pagan to come in to start the 10th inning, didn't you? I mean, once they get, I guess he was probably already warming up. But,
you got to bring someone in.
Yeah, you do. It's
got a 3-run lead. Good. Like, what do you protect it?
He should have come over. He should have come off the mound and said, "I dedicate this game to Wes Johnson," or something. I don't. And to the traitor Wes Johnson, or but he is an odd fella. In addition to he's this verbose guy. He's not getting vaxxed, but he wants to explain it to everybody and talk about it. Most people like that Tanner from Boston, who got vilified when the Red Sox, because he wasn't there, says, "I'm not talking about it," which is the way to go, right?
Yeah.
But this guy wants to discuss everything with you. And I will say I was ripping him before it was fashionable. So And
Way to go, Royce.
I did tweet this out this morning because I ended my Wes Johnson column Wednesday with just an absolutely superfluous cheap shot at Emilio Pagan. There was no reason for it whatsoever, and I actually considered it and said, what the hell? And now I don't feel so bad.
Now it's very well
Now
timed.
it's really
great,
good.
actually. Yeah, it's
Now,
prophetic.
In retrospect, when people look at it, they say, "Oh yeah, that was pretty good," because they will not know that it was written before last night.
Yeah, I mean, it's bad. In retrospect, Chris Paddock and Emilio Pagan for Taylor Rogers, you could sort of first guess that because of the elbow issues, but oh my God.
2 more years of control with Paddock. The apologists keep saying, well, one of them means you get to pay for his rehab, right?
Yeah.
So, and then when he comes back, well, he hasn't pitched in 3 years, so we can only use him 70 innings this year. But
and this is twice, too. So, like, there's no guarantee his arm comes back fine.
Oh, God, no. Who cares? I mean, who cares?
Had the surgery twice.
By then, you better have this wonderful pitching development that they started better have brought some fruits along. But I don't know. Don't you have to call up Winder and use him in the bullpen? I think you got to forget the starting thing, and you got to make him a reliever. And he's got to be your other power arm in the bullpen, right?
Absolutely.
That's my point. That you have to do something. You can't just continue to have Rocco trot these guys out there, and Pagan. I mean, for us to be this far down the path, and the option to be, well, it's got to be Pagan. At some point in time, gets ridiculous.
Yes.
Hello, Rocco.
Yeah. But I brought this up on Twitter this morning. I was in a Twitter rage, Judd. But remember what Doug Groh wrote his column on RD? We were all going to run it. When RD showed up at the Dome, the whole crowd was going to run out and lynch him. They were so mad. That's what I think it was after the Mattingly home run in New York. And I mean, it was just if we had comments on the Star Tribune articles, then there would have been 900 of them condemning. And then on a day off, RD took these inner city kids fishing at Trout Air up there, and Groh wrote this column. And then when they came back to play here, RD got warm applause. Emilio needs I took kids fishing column right now before Baltimore gets here Friday night.
Actually, can we find the same first graders? Or they're probably a little older now that sent Blair Walsh those.
That's right.
Feel bad for you notes.
Yeah,
those
kids
are in high school now, but
we're such suckers in this state.
Oh God, we are.
Stop. If the guy sucks, rip him.
And I got one other complaint.
Mm-hmm.
Rocco mentioned this a couple weeks ago, that he watched an episode of Stranger Things.
Oh boy!
So
here we go.
yesterday, my grandkids are over, and they're watching Stranger Things.
Yeah.
And I watched 20 minutes, and this was the biggest piece of horse crap I have ever watched in my entire life. It's the stupidest thing of all time. And if you're an adult and watch it, you need help. You need help. Rocco, I can't wait to see him. I'm not going to complain to him about Emilio. I'm going to say, what in God's, you're an adult. How are you watching this nonsense?
What did you wait? Did you just jump into like season 4 for 20 minutes? Did you start from the beginning?
The granddaughter was watching it, and she was all worried about Nancy getting eaten by some creature.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Hey,
and I said, what is this? What? I don't know. What's wrong with America?
If Steve Harrington dies, we riot. That's all I'm going to say. Okay, if Steve Harrington dies.
Yeah, but
not touch Steve
and then they're still alive, right?
Well, no, there's an underworld. You're not dead. You're just sort of
the upside down.
Yeah, you're in the upside down.
But they did have a blob in the one I watched. Somebody died, and then he became a blob. Well, the Blob was a movie from 1956.
Yeah.
Anyway.
A great 50s horror movie.
Yeah, great one.
It is a great 50s horror movie. 50s horror movies is when they were the
Thing,
great.
The Blob.
Remember the one with the monoliths marching through they look like dominoes pieces marching through the wilderness to cross the desert.
I don't know if
Mel Jazz had that one on the air about every 2 weeks. Mel had the matinee movies. He had like 8 horror movies, and he showed them all over and over and over.
Night of the Living Dead. The original Night of the Living Dead is one of my favorites. The old they're listening to the radio broadcast, and the zombies outside.
Yes.
Great
Well,
stuff.
anyway, those are my. But yeah, the Fighting Twinks. Well, another thing we got today was they got to get rid of him because the team. You can see the team's morale is down. Well, they got 3 in the 10th. They came back from down 3-0, and they were leading 6-3. They looked pretty. The morale looked pretty good to me. That's the big thing about baseball. People say, "Oh, how are they ever going to recover from this?" Well, they just show up the next day, And
Just stop pitching the crappy pitcher in the 10th inning, and then
if a guy pitches good, then they might win. Who knows what happens today? But that was definitely a bad loss.
Yeah,
Yes.
does that qualify?
Yes, that definitely qualifies.
But Patrick, a competitive baseball team with a closer or key bullpen guy who's absolutely gagging is one of the greatest things in sports.
Oh, it is.
What?
It is.
What?
It's one of the greatest things. This is fun.
Let's face it. Last I looked, the Star Tribune had 157 comments.
People care.
If they won, there would have been 12.
Yes.
There would have been 12.
RD.
And you guys know that from Viking vent line, right?
Yeah.
Now, glory victory is fine if you beat the Packers or something. Yeah. But abject, humiliating defeat wins the day all the time.
Does it still win the day for the Twins though? Like there's some hardcores that are like we had one guy, Twins Boy on Twitter, who I hope if you're listening to this, here's your Twins conversation. But like if you're not Twins Boy on Twitter, are you waking up outraged over this after 20 years of no playoff wins?
I guess I shouldn't base it on newspaper comments because these are the worst human beings in the world, right? Okay, they're complete jackasses who are waiting for and then they cheap poll. This is the cheap poll ads again. They got a $36 million shortstop, but what the hell are the cheap poll ads again? I can guarantee you if they came to Jim Pohlad and said, "I can get a reliever for you, and it's going to cost $10 million," he'd write out the check, wouldn't he? I would think.
They're paying Taylor to play for the Padres.
That is still the part of the trade I cannot understand. Giving them $6.3 million.
Did the Twins get it? They got another prospect or no?
Yes, they do. Okay. But he's 19 years old. And
so the Twins they're paying for Paddock's rehab for another year and a half. They're paying for Emilio Pagan to soil himself every time he faces the Guardians, and they're paying for Taylor Rogers to lead Major League Baseball in saves for the Padres, who are 14 games over 500.
Yes. Okay. That is, I'll tell you what, though. It is back in the day when you had access and you could do everything. There's nothing more wonderful than covering baseball because you go from glory to atomic bomb going off, and you got to change what you're writing in like 5 minutes. The World Series that I covered with Phoenix, with Arizona, and Hang 'em High Kim came in and blew 2 in a row. And I'm yelling ethnic slurs and writing away as on deadline because he screwed up everything. And then Eckersley and Gibson, there's nothing that beats it. Because they can. It's worse than hockey. It can screw you up quicker than hockey. We should mention the Fiala trade. I like it. I like that favor a lot.
Yeah, it's great.
There's a great picture, by the way, from I think it was last season of it's Kirill Kaprizov celebrating a goal in front of the glass, and then there's a fan just cheering right behind the glass with a Minnesota Gopher polo on, and it is Faber.
It's the kid.
He looks like Clark Kent.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Like he's got these glasses on. He looks very studious.
But I think he was an active player.
He only had 2 goals, but I really like him a lot.
He's very good.
He and that Kanish, that was a good. You had to do something, and you get if you don't screw up the draft choice, it's as good as you can do. And he's certainly the one you want to get rid of instead of Dumba. So.
Zucker 2.0.
It's hard to badmouth Bill Guerin. He's been pretty damn good. He's been pretty good.
People are upset though, Pat. They didn't get Gretzky. They didn't get Orr. They didn't get Guy Lafleur back. I mean, what are they doing?
That, there were other people who watched Fiala the year before and halfway, and through the first third of this season. So I'm predicting you're going to get out there with the Kings and score 22 goals and be a disappointment and get ripped. I think he's a very up and down player. That's Mr. Hockey approves of the trade. What more do you need?
The Whisperer is gone, so you're now the official hockey guy of
the Whisperer put his
sport.
career on the line and came out on the wrong side.
Oh, by the way, Pete Mackey will be named interim pitching, no big secret, Friday morning. And this Colby Suggs, who they had in the bullpen yesterday, will be the new bullpen coach. But don't be surprised. Isn't that what Shooty said? Don't be surprised if come next year, Pete is back in the minors and, like they did with Edgar Varela and Colby Suggs is your pitching coach. They like him a lot. He's popular with the players. He's a smart guy, and he's a former pitcher and all that good stuff. So.
Hey, real quick, what do you think of our guy Glenn Perkins on the Valley? He's been great.
I think he's really good. I like him on the radio. He's got even a little more freedom on the radio, but he's good. He's good because what I say is he doesn't say anything unless he has something to say, which is not a trait for all of them, particularly one individual who I like a lot and won't name. But, just because they threw a pitch doesn't mean you have to analyze it, right?
I would like to see the play-by-play guy ask Glenn more questions and draw Glenn out, because Glenn is a baseball genius, and the play-by-play guy likes to show that he knows a lot, which drives me nuts.
Yeah, you've expressed that opinion.
Yeah, I'll express it again, too. I'll continue to express it. Danny Gladden and Perk on Radio Pat were great together. They talked baseball. My God, it was
that's
nice.
Incredible.
Judd, quit trying to get other people to bait other people into ripping Dick Bramer. Okay,
you've said it.
You know what? I see Dick in the press box all the time.
I
We're
bet
very
you do.
friendly. Hi, Judd.
You and
Hi,
Richard.
Dick.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, if they're waiting for Dick to step aside, he'll be hanging in there as long as me. So don't
Herbie?
95.
Yeah,
I work only home games.
I don't even think he'll do that. I think you're going to have to drag Dick out of that booth. So.
Yep. All right, Pat, we got to
Sure,
run. We will talk to you early next week.
Okay.
Bye.
All right, so that's Rapping with Royce, presented by our friends at Federated Mutual Insurance Company. By the way, Federated has been helping to raise money for Big Brothers Big Sisters since 2005, $44 million to help with these one-to-one mentoring relationships for children facing adversity. If you want to find out about how you can become a big and support the cause, go to federatedchallenge.org. That's federatedchallenge.org. We got to go.